Oh hey, we're back in court. Welcome. Welcome. What is happening? I don't know. Oh, closing argument. That's right. Just clicked. Yeah. Hi, Drebber. Well, I've known that one for years. You've never been accomplished to anything. Alright, hold it. The order of things seems to have changed around here for some reason. No, I'm a copper, lad. It's a copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when needs must. Ah, yes, right. What's wrong with that? Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. Objection? Relevance? We've only had a metropolitan police service in town for 70 years, you know. Oh, times have changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well. And win we did. Forensic science was in its infancy, too. Even more than it is now, and she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Sith, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now it was. When I was still youngest Bobby on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her. Head of the forensic investigation team. And a woman, no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we all dreamt of back then, I tell you. Did you tell me without holding that gun in the air? We were off to uphold justice, lad. Full of vim, we were. Full of vim. But what about the vigor? Full of vim? Are you full of vigor? That's coming across loud and clear. Thank you, officer. It's utter nonsense to think those two would ever be conniving with one another. Hold it! Drebber and Sith. That's right. When we left off, we accused Sith of being Drebber's accomplice. But we're only just starting to understand this case. Yes, and? What are you reading here, sir? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught two days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Sith in charge of examining the bodies. It was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Okay, we got a hard fight to win. Oh. That's right, oh. That woman is at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I thought it was up to me. To press the jurors, not the other way around. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? Hold it! Why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does she? Does he? True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just there. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. If that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Sith would be enough. Yes, I agree. She did. As soon as we even have a whiff of a connection, she'll be the first to know. Let me look at something here. Mr. Assman. Coroner Courtney Sith. The curious thing here. We examine this Aspen and Drebber. Aspen? E. Drebber? O. Aspen? Killer's autopsy report for the professor. Courtney Stevens. There's a maiden name of sorts. What sort of problems? Oh yeah. Let's just say we have run into each other on numerous occasions where I've been performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences, so we perform our great magic in parks, on street corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Oh, hello.
Excuse me.
Shocking that this would trigger the police. Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermore? What you call a mass murder? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I didn't look anything like the man. You'll be locked up, sonny. Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do. Back in my day. Back in the good old days. It wasn't like this. Oh? What was it like, sir? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would have called a coroner into question in them days. Coroner's report was the hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to... Oh, hello. She was the best of the best, and the apple of the force's eye. Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Sorry, got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Sith's maiden name. Aha, called it. Her maiden name was before she was married. Of course, yes, silly me. Sith now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyway, point is, those were the great days of policing, not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes, I don't see why not. She was legendary, was she? What'd you say? That woman is still the best coroner in the land. Head of the forensic investigation team. Legendary was your description, sir, not mine. Rubbish. That would never pass my lips. I never describe anyone that way. Ever. Not if they were still in the game. Are you okay, sir? I think the point you're trying to make is that Dr. Sith is an extremely talented coroner. Would that be fair? It would. One for the fact that you're trying to drag that legendary woman's reputation through the mud. I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that legendary. I wonder if we can present that now. Well, let's continue working our way through here. It feels like it feels like we're not quite ready to pit Courtney Stevens with juror number 2 quite yet. But the connection is forming. What sort of problems? Let's just say we have... Sometimes they even cook up a story to extort monies from the poor. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and it is why I say that if you trust the police, you can really have trouble. But here you are, claiming that this waxwork model was stolen to star in an illusionary spectacular. It is so wild I think I would take my chances and believe the authorities on this occasion. This is how the public at large views Scotland Yard, is it? Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? Perhaps we should view what's happened here in London as a measure of what may happen at home. Yes, like a Scotland Yard That was a good one. That was a good one. Holy shit, that was a good one. Oh, I wonder how a policeman would feel listening to the way this juror speaks about the force. I'm sure he'd have a word or two to say in response. Yes, we already talked to him. Riggers proved this waxwork, but you claim this whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, Given that this cage appeared from amidst an explosion, there had been no need to use a real person. If the waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. I suppose we should expect nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. That perhaps means his mind could be changed if he managed to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside that birdcage. Can I produce that or not? I don't think so. What's cracked and broken? Broken at the bottom, which is the key. Can we gain anything from this? There's the lock. Exposed explosion. Balloon photograph. Victim photograph. No. Well, I can state quite categorically, sir, that we have no such evidence at the present time. That much was abundantly clear before that brassy proclamation, I assure you. And why you can count on the fact that I shan't be changing my leaning. Oh dear, my proclamation was even brassier than yours, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, let me get some evidence. Things might be different, though.
Hold it!
I've got to ask, why have you brought that corn into court with you? Kettle Cobb? He's been growing back on the farm. Picked him off my way back to town. He's a proper nibbler, he is. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial? No, I don't like the sound of that. You need colonels at times like these. What if I had something big to decide? The colonels always point me in the right direction, see? You're talking about your cob of corn? Guilty bubble. Not guilty bubble. Guilty bubble. Not guilty out. Guilty bubble. Not guilty out. Guilty bubble. Not guilty out. Okay, thank you for wasting my time. Perhaps it's akin to fortune-telling with flower petals like people do back home? So Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn? Would you not at least wait until we've had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt? Ooh, I don't know about that. Me tum's awfully full already. Amazing. Ooh, that one was terrible. You know, it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model the professor was in that birdcage. On the other hand, it explains a lot. There really is a reason why that particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Aspen's double. We must do everything we can to make the jurors understand it. Truth is, I'm sure that's the key to this, but it's the most puzzling part of it, too. In that case, you should see what additional information you can glean whilst trying to change the jurors' minds. You can read a book whilst eating a rice cracker, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sure you can do this. Right. Yes. That's totally comparable. That's right, but can't actually present evidence unless prompted.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! To whose statements do you refer, counsel? So, juror number 2. Oh gosh, me? Oh, what can I do for you? I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Sith, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Sith's maiden name is Stevens, and through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxworker, the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it. My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling. Counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim. Of course, my lord. I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. Sith to the mass murderer known as the Professor. Take this.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. Oh? The Professor's... That man was a capital offender, so... That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. What's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens. Oh my! Courtney Stevens! Strike a light! It appears the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Sith 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tussaud's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Aspen, at all. And you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events? Absolutely. I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover between Dr. Courtney Sith and Mr. Enoch Drebber. Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We've surely obliged now to explore this further. Are we gonna get you? Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It wasn't like this in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end. Okay, surprisingly decent of you. It's Professor. That's what links that frightful swindler in the corner. I got you. Now, how do we handle this? Do we have anything? Oh, I'm dumb.
Hold it!
Let's do it. Actually, I have something I'd like you to see, sir. Oh. Must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. So you don't trust anyone in black? Looking in the mirror must be very trying. I do have some evidence that proves the waxwork was inside that birdcage, namely...
Take that!
What's that? A piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket on the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass, though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower? Holy smoke! Exactly. The centerpiece of the great exhibition, where the very incident we are talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that clear evidence in support of that assertion has been placed before you. Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obligated to change my position on the matter. Thank you, man of science, even despite your weird white and black beliefs. Your statement now, juror. Okay.
Objection!
Alright, these two statements clearly contradict each other. But gracious, to whose statements do you refer, counsel? You could put down your corn for a moment. Juror number 5. Oh, do you mean me? You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second birdcage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence, as the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument? I don't understand much besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here. Please do so. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a man of science to not pursue the matter further. Thank you. Well, me too then. Sorry? If this brainy gentleman says he's right, then it must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between the ears. Bob. Success! If you can call it that. We've earned more testimony, I believe. Thank you, counsel, that will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach consensus at this time. The trial must continue. We did it. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. Another wonderful victory. So now where do we go? A waxwork with a despicable professor, which is a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. It's a waxwork with the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Sith. I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't. The truth, sir? By using evidence and testimony. If the court is to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Madame Tuspel. Ooh, I really thought that Lord Van Zieks would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tuspel to appear as a witness with immediate effect. Listen carefully, my learned friend. Oh, yes. You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now adjourn for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. But I'm to spells, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. Oh, to be continued. All right. Very fully looped. All right. We are right on the edge of something very dark. Concerning Holmes. Ah, the knight errant himself. Oh, you've been watching for the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I fell asleep. I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs. As a spectator, at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying yourself. Albert? I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What is this professor business about? Doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Who even is he? Of course. We've gone very far from a simple science experiment gone wrong. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Yes, the professor. When I discovered he was the one who had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But who knew that monster would come knocking at your door? I had felt sympathies. As it turns out, Lord Van Ziek's even more intimately tied to this case than any of us realized, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now a waxwork of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life makes an appearance, too. Imagine even the shrewd Mr. Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fellow. Throw that in front of the man. You make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes? In what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Drebber, Dr. Sith, and Lord Van Zieks. It seems that everyone in this trial is a link to the case somehow. Yes. In fact, I, alone, am not a member of the set. Though, that leaves me as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. Excuse me? Who's this? Oh, hi. Dr. Sith? Dr. Courtney Sith, nay, Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. What in particular, pray? You requested a 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. I think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. A policeman with the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Sith. And I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened. That certainly won't be possible. Lord Van Zieks won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it. Lord Strongheart? Pandora's box you were warned about is the professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you'll get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice. I've always fought crime in the way that I see fit. I have no regrets, none at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you. Goodbye. She mentioned it too. This Pandora's box. What does it all mean? There's really no cause for concern, I assure you. When the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you like it or not. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits. I think maybe you're enjoying yourself a little too much. Ah yes, one word of warning before I go. If in the course of the trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone. To the bitter end, you understand? Do not falter, whatever may come to pass. Alright, I understand. Thank you. Good. I shall make myself scarce, then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I shall be gnawing on that as you gnaw away at the truth. Oh. What did that warning from Mr. Sholmes really mean, I wonder? Or should the bit about whatever may come to pass? Ominous. It's time for the final chapter, then. I'm determined to find the truth, no matter what. Labour for Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsel for the defence and prosecution, are you ready and able to continue? The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. Defence is also ready. As the court is aware, the case under our scrutiny began with the damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet we now find ourselves embroiled in the details of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial has certainly defied all expectation. As seems to be the fate of all trials in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord. So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense's assertion that the waxwork was cardinally involved in this murder. Lord Van Zieks. My lord? Are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tuspels? Not at all. She is in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned. Very well. Bring in the witness. At once, my lord. Bailiff, show Madame Tuspels to the stand. Things are about to become a lot more intense. If Drebber is responsible, as I'm sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice in Dr. Sith. And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork. Yes, the model of the professor. That's the key to the link between those otherwise unrelated individuals. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at present it's all we have to go on. Uh-oh. Hi, Sholmes. State your name and occupation for the court, please. My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspels. I'm a waxwork artisan and the proprietress of the Madame Tuspels Museum of Waxwork. You have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must open very soon. Oh, so he finally gets a statue, does he? Now there are two of them in the world. Oh my, what expression is she carving onto that face? A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? Oui, that is true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped. A waxwork model? Kidnapped? Yes, my lord. There was demand for a ransom money left by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim. At present, that is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odie Asman. But of course, I know him well. He's a part of my odious personages exhibit. I detest to say what is evident, but Mr. Aspen does not resemble the professor at all. Yes, but perhaps their faces are very similar. Are you suggesting that we should see now the damasked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it is strictly forbidden to open the lock. This is absurd. Pardon? don't know what face you've carved onto your fancy figure beneath the mask. But clearly, it won't be that of the actual killer. Oh? Indeed. The man's identity was never made public, after all. The trial took place in a closed court. Proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that a repository of tawdry exhibits could get its hands on that information. Oof. Que dommage. It would seem you are unaware of the Tuspel's principles. Oh? What principles? The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models à la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voilà, our principles. There's a well-known legend among the Tuspels waxworks from the time of the French Revolution. A member of the Tuspels family is said to have made a waxwork of the Queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the Queen's face was carved in the minutes following her death. Actually, at the guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still. In the House of Horrors. We Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain a faithful replica of our subjects. Dear me, a somewhat disturbing tenacity of purpose is the only way to obtain a truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been my family's secret for generations. Do you mean to say that beneath that mask? Oui, the true visage of the killer is there. This is ludicrous. It's out of the question. The professor spread terror throughout Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel's special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer emerging from his own grave. It is a sight to behold. You should come. I think, Madame, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. You'll explain every detail of this macabre model, and your personal involvement in its creation. With pleasure. Oh boy. Professor Waxwork. The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse, in accordance with the Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until they gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time that night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered. Oh boy, the gravedigger? The man sanctioned this? Oui, I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew. Only the gravedigger. What harm did it do, huh? So you truly saw it? The face of that monster? Naturally, I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tuspels would not be Tuspels if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures. I don't believe this. I myself have seen the special exhibit at your museum, Madame. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave. The scene it depicts was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time. Mr. Drebber's dreadful encounter. Oh, Aspen. Well, goddamn. We just got a whole bunch of connections all in one. All in one picture here. Enoch Drebber. That's a terrifying picture. And O. Aspen. We were just looking at that signature earlier. It's the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by the eyewitness who saw it. A 10-year-old article has been entered in the court record, thank you. Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words. The Great Stake. For a great many years, Parliament has at long last resolved to relieve the citizens of London from the horrifying stench that carries on the slightest breeze. It lingers in the nostril. A man, woman, and child. A great sewer system will divert the poop away from the river. Charles Darwin. This year's recipient of the Royal Society's most prestigious award, Mr. Charles Darwin, for his highly important contributions in research in the fields of geology, zoology, and botanical physiology. Mr. Darwin joined the ranks of such monumental figures like Ryunosuke and Leon Foucault. Mad sheep rampage! Unexplained phenomenon grips Oxfordshire region. Locals reported a most remarkable circumstance in which folded sheep received the sudden fright and leapt in fields and pens. Oh, terrifying. Lowgate Cemetery. Professor Forrest Office grave cover. Clawed through the earth. England witnessed the scene was on the verge of raising a shriek. The next second, a gunshot rang out. Suddenly from behind, bullet pierced the resurrected man's chest, whose breath stilled once more. Mr. Enoch Drebber, a disciple of science, University of London, and a president of its student dorms. Huh. I don't enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I've reproduced this scene as carefully as possible in my museum. It's a waxwork from that exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it? That is correct. It's the professor you see before you here. Most puzzling. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination. This waxwork links Drebber to Dr. Sid, and there has to be some reason for that, which hasn't yet come to light. But I'll find it. I'll get to the bottom of what really happened. I'll prove that Dr. Sith and Drebber were in on this crime together.
Hold it!
And that rumor would be a 10-year-old tale now, but one that no Londoner would ever forget. Ah, right, I know just what you're talking about, I think. Of course, it couldn't be anything else. Yes, that story will never disappear. The tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That's the central attraction of my house of horrors. The rumor was whispered all over the city. It was like this. It was in Lowgate Cemetery behind the prison in the dead of the night after the execution of the killer. The interred professor slid back the stone slab covering his tomb and emerged from his grave. A young man who witnessed this felt a scream welling up inside him. An instant later, he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse. He fell motionless once more. As the scream finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life. The corpse climbed out of his own grave? And then somebody shot him. Who? Who was it? Nobody knows, even today. But remember, it was just a rumor. Perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The good people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital. But what was it, just a story? I mean, this is exactly the scene that can be seen today at your museum, isn't it? The special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the contents of that article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable. Madame, might I say something? Please go ahead, mademoiselle. When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I believe that often, rumors contain elements of the truth. Ah, I see that people from the East can be just as astute as the people of Europe. Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful? It is not possible for the dead to come back to life. Sorry? 10 years ago, I was there in Lowgate Cemetery. After the criminal known as the Professor was killed by the hanging, I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before it was interred. So I can assure you, the man was dead. I see. It would certainly appear that the condemned man suffered this intended fate. Van6 is observing.
Hold it!
Is that true of every waxwork at your museum, then? It is. Assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have letters from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know. What sort of letters? When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me. Komeka. No! My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals a symbol of status even. Because nothing says hardened criminal better than wax. And it is thanks to one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course. It's a professor, whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse. There are no exceptions to the principles of the spells. The aid of the gravedigger.
Hold it!
Surely that's legal, isn't it? It would seem that the proprietor of this repository of novelties was blinded by monetary greed. It had nothing to do with money. The man is part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him, to record this history. It is the raison d'etre of the Spells Museum. If the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, and surely nobody but the members of the judiciary present know the killer's true identity. I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor. Do you realize what you're saying? The professor's identity is a national secret. I understand. And now that the truth about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close. Of course it will. As will your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madame. That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think. Don't you? The power of her, goddamn. 10 years ago, on the night of the professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse. She is not shaken whatsoever. Oui, exactement.
Hold it!
You were there longer than you expected to be. I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. So I removed the mask. The mouth of the cadaver fell open, and I had some problems with the chin. Dare I ask? The man had been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently, his chin did not align itself correctly. Oh dear. What a horrible thought. Under normal circumstances, I would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone. As a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time. What do you mean? When I take the impression of the visage of a cadaver, do it right away before various other end-of-life states set in. Always wait until 3 hours after death. Why 3 hours? Is that amount of time significant? It is because of rigor mortis. Rigor mortis? It's the name given to a phenomenon that occurs in recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours post-death, the muscles in the body begin to stiffen. Approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. Then from that point on, the muscles slowly start to revert to their relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate the time of death when a body is discovered. Well, that was an education, if a slightly scary one. As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts in the jaw. I see. So that's why you wait. Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it is very difficult to do my work. I've just been sitting here for a minute watching her carve. It's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. What about that information the courts just heard from Madame Tispels? Why not? The information about rigor mortis that you just shared with us. Would you mind including it in your formal testimony? I believe it could be significant, you see. Of course. I do not mind at all. I can't help feeling that after this latest topic, the atmosphere in the courtroom has become extremely grave. This is no time for jokes, Mr. Zato. That was good, though. Madame, kindly amend your testimony as discussed. Bien sûr. Around at midnight, 17th June, so we need to figure out what time this was. Rigor mortis being the phenomenon you described, whereby the corpse becomes stiff after death. I think you said that it starts at the jaw, about 3 hours post-death. Is that right? Oui, c'est cas. Of course, the exact duration depends a little on the season. I didn't realize a waxwork artisan would be so well versed in the subject. Human body expert? No. That is the only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine. Only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine. Just like legitimate medicine, not like law, not like medicine law, which is may have totally been what went through my brain there when she first said that. Oh dear. Well, I had no idea about it, but maybe I won't admit to my ignorance about forensic science. I could ask my father to give you a very simple primer if you'd like. I think corpses should be your domain. I'm not good with them. Oh dear. I'll do my very best.
Hold it!
You say that dawn was approaching. What was the time of day then? Approximately. Well, I could not say. But when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible. Execution took place on 17th June, which had the earliest sunrise of that year. Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning. Really is early. The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work in a half hour. It was necessary to complete the impression and bury the body before daybreak, of course. If somebody had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry. Is it me or does Mr. Sholmes seem to be taking shape more quickly now, too? You certainly appear to go to extraordinary lengths for your work, madame. I wonder, is what you just said particularly significant? Yeah. More testimony. And there's details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture and the early sunrise. Would you include them in your testimony? I believe they may be significant. Of course, if you would like me to. You're quite right, Mr. Naruhodo. It is intriguing. A sunrise at 4 in the morning would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it? That's not quite what I meant by significant, but we'll roll with that. Kindly amend your formal testimony then, madame. With pleasure, my lord. A half hour before sunrise, and I left as soon as the corpse was interred. Okay. Did you have reason to believe you might be discovered once the sun came up or something? I had paid the gravedigger money to keep my little secret, of course. With the morning light, I knew that the warden from the prison would commence his patrol of the area. Couldn't you just have paid off the warden too, then? I had already paid the gravedigger, as I said. You cannot buy the silence of everyone, or the secret is no longer a secret, eh? The sunrise was at 4:40 a.m. that day, which means that it would have been around 4 when you began your sculpting work. Oui, that must be correct. Probably when the gravedigger gave me the signal to come out of hiding. That's all I have to go on. What's your feeling, Mr. Naruhodo? For some reason, Dr. Sith went along with Drebber's plan. Now, if that's really true, professor is the only other thing we know of that links the pair of them. So I feel sure that waxwork must be a clue to this mystery somehow. In that case, we must use this cross-examination to uncover exactly what it means. Otherwise, the jurors are sure to revert their leanings and the trial will be over. I agree, but interestingly, uncovering what the professor has to do with all of this means more to Lord Van Ziek than anyone. That's the impression I'm getting anyways. And yes, as do I. After all, he's a profound connection to the professor as well. The question is going to be something with, the autopsy being confirmed at midnight.
Objection.
False. Surely something about that last statement seems odd, doesn't it? You gotta mull over precisely what you find out about it on your return journey to Japan. I'll be back to court to give an answer, though. Rest assured we should be happy to carry proceedings forward in your absence, counsel. He sounds serious. You have to prove my worth before he really does send me back home. He's just done with our shit. God damn.
Objection.
Okay, there we go. Madame Despers. I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows. And is that a problem? I believe it is, because your testimony and a particular detail in the report completely contradict one another. Quoi? Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend? According to her testimony, Madame Despels was creating her waxwork impression just before dawn. At that time, rigor mortis had not yet set in. Am I correct so far, Madame? You are, yes. As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sign of rigor mortis, 2 to 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he cannot have been dead for a long time. And on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Sith's report, it quite clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June. No! If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, and by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would already have set in. Oui, yes, you are right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff. In other words, this report is wrong.
Objection.
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd. Oh, you know nothing. In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. Execution didn't actually take place at the stated time. Impossible! Order! Order! Counsel, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indict the author of the report, Dr. Sith, but you also implicate members of staff at Barclay Prison where the execution took place. Why, heck! Extraordinary! Hog, not my day! My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very critical fact. What fact? The professor died that night, without question. He did. Of course he did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my own hands. There was no... Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows? Didn't die at... Are you insane? What exactly you're suggesting did happen in that case? It's almost impossible to believe, but it would explain the link between Dr. Sith, the professor, and that other one person of interest. Like evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night. Let's present the evidence at once. This explains what really happened the night of the professor's execution. Gunshot rang out.
Take that!
What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at a local cemetery. You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead now? Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor, published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Are you serious? Point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened. My word, yes indeed. Must we? The young man who stole it to the cemetery by chance that night.
Objection!
Of course there's a witness. The story didn't write itself, but obviously the man made it all up. In any case, this was 10 years ago now. There would surely be no hope of finding him. On the contrary, my lord, read the fucking article. We all know this witness well. He's standing over there, gyrating. What? You're suggesting, counsel, that you've identified the person in question, that you know who claims to have seen these utterly incredible events take place. Yes, my lord. In fact, you could say he's right here, before my very eyes. You will substantiate your latest claim now then, counsel. Who was the alleged witness of this staggering scene of the cemetery 10 years ago? Asking me this question like it's meaningful and not immediately right before us.
Take that!
The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber. Who was? I haven't actually mentioned it yet, but someone brought it up in the first part of this. But someone brought it up the very first video where Enoch Drebber's name was mentioned. He was actually a character in the original Study in Scarlet, one of the victims of that case. A previous witness. A special exhibit in the House of Horrors at Madame Tussauds, Museum of Waxwork, recreates that decades-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber. Order, order, order. It will take us until next time to get order restored.